Okay, so here we are once again with another DC Multiverse unboxing. Technically, it's DC Direct, the Page Punchers line. Although I don't see the Page Punchers logo anywhere on this box. Maybe they decided there was too much brand confusion between the larger Page Punchers and the smaller Page Punchers. So anyway, it comes with a comic book, and it's got the DC Direct label on it. Doesn't have a multiverse label on it, but let's be honest, these are basically multiverse figures. They're the same scale. They're supposed to be used with each other. So this is the figure I'm going to be opening today. Yesterday, hopefully you saw it, I opened up the Dick Grayson Batman figure. So I have both the Batman Reborn versions of Batman and Robin. So we'll see both of those together. And then tomorrow, I'll be opening up Deathstroke. So before we get started, a couple of things real quick. This is what I'm planning on opening up on Monday, because I found him at Walmart the other day. Ooh, we got the new Superman Action Comics. I believe this is a Walmart exclusive. I found him at Walmart. It says gold label, so it must be a Walmart exclusive. Looking forward to opening that. That's one I've been excited about. So, and then on a more sad note, yesterday, technically early this morning, right about the time that I was about to be getting off work, I learned that Greg Hildebrandt, the legendary fantasy artist, had passed away. Now, this was a guy who actually had a pretty big impact on my life because of this. I have the shirt. I'm wearing it in homage today. The Factor Star Wars poster. It was used on some of the foreign releases instead of the Tom Jung version. But yeah, I had the poster on my wall when I was a kid, and absolutely loved it. And to me, that was kind of Star Wars growing up. You know, we didn't have when I was a kid, we didn't really have home video, and if you're going to see Star Wars, you had to wait till like maybe they re-released it in the theater, which they did a few times, or maybe they'd show it on TV. I know it was on HBO a few times in the early '80s, and eventually, I think it was 1985 when it finally premiered on CBS. Maybe 1983. It might have been the same year Return of the Jedi came out. I don't know, but you didn't see Star Wars. Like, it's not like today where you can just pop in your DVD or go to Blu-ray or go to Disney Plus for the streaming or whatever. It ain't even like the days like when we finally got it on VHS and I can watch Star Wars anytime I want to now. Star Wars was kind of an event if you got to go see it at the theater or aired on television or something like that. And that poster was on my wall 24/7. And anytime I was in my room, I could look at that poster, like we had comics and we had book and record sets. I did love those book and record sets. Oddly enough, they were put out by Disney, the Buena Vista records. So I guess their connection with Star Wars does go back quite a ways. But yeah, I just thought I should say something about it. I was wearing this shirt because, since I heard about it, I just felt like it was appropriate to wear this shirt. So anyway, let's move on. So we're going to open up this figure, and it is the first of these figures that I've opened up in this style of packaging. I know there's been other waves that have been in these, but I hadn't been able to get any of the other waves that were in these packagings. Although I did really like the Barbarian style Batman figures they did. I'm going to get those at some point. So I got the shears out of the kitchen because it just seemed to me like it would be the easiest way to open this fucker. This is not a show. Yeah, okay, it looks like that did manage to get it. So I'm gonna get it over here at the other sides. I figure if I get it on three sides, that ought to be enough to get them out of the package fairly easily. And I want to take care not to cut my comic book, because I love comic books. And of course, I already have like the original printing of Grant Morrison and Frank Quitely on Batman and Robin #1. This was part of the whole Batman R.I.P. art. Not the Batman R.I.P. story proper, because that led into this, but I kind of think of the whole thing as being Batman R.I.P. Basically everything until Bruce Wayne comes back. And, you might even include Batman Incorporated in that, but I kind of think of that as being like a separate arc, but still a follow-up. So we're not going to read this whole comic, because it is a full-size comic, and it's got some heft to it. It feels like a good comic, but we'll go ahead and look through it a little bit. So there's a nice ad for McFarlane's Batman Forever figures. Too bad they didn't put out a Chase Meridian, and they could have made the poster a little more accurate, but still it's a nice recreation of the poster. Some good Frank Quitely artwork. The goofy, chunky Batmobile I was talking about. See, it's kind of cool because it can fly, but like it's just kind of goofy looking, It's like it's just kind of chunky and goofy looking. I don't know. I like it, like in theory. It's not a bad design, it's just goofy looking. Anyway, so Batman and Robin chasing after the bad guys. And Robin says, I told you it would work. All I had to do was adapt my father's blueprints. I'm sorry I ever doubted you, Damian. Batmobile, lock to target, disable. I don't know why I always think of Damian as having this very posh upper-crust British accent, but I do. He doesn't have it in any of the animated appearances I've seen, but... Never use real names in the field. Your words. You're paying attention. Good. You know I'd have killed for a flying Batmobile when I was Robin. Great artwork by Frank Quitely. He's an excellent storyteller, and like his artwork, it's that very European sort of style, and it's got a lot of good detail to it. And here's the scene I was talking about yesterday when I opened up the Batman figure. So I'll at least read this scene. So this scene. And so begins in earnest your first week as Batman. Yeah, I just wish I could shake the feeling that I'm wearing a shroud. If you're not up to it, Grayson, if you're not up to it, then stand aside, Dick Grayson. I was bred for the job and trained in the arts of war by the masters of my mother's League of Assassins. I could just as easily continue my father's work on my own. Maybe one day, Damian, but not today. Get in the car. Don't forget your mask. I guess that's not the scene I was thinking of. I was thinking that it was leading into it, but hopefully it's in this issue because I really like that scene. Maybe I went past it. Surely they didn't cut it out. That was like one of the best parts. Maybe it was in a different issue. Oh, well. But still, it's nice to have a full-size comic book in there. Even if it's one that's like really easy to get and you can get it in trade paperbacks and everything like that. I'm not sure what the value is on the original printing of it. It might be worth some money now. Who knows? But anyway, we got more stuff to get through in this package. And it looks like there is another bubble. The trading card and the stand are on a separate bubble. This is some really fancy packaging. And I'm worried about getting the trading card out of the packaging. But here's our figure stand. Standard DC Direct figure stand like we're used to seeing nowadays. Matte black with a glossy embossed DC logo on it. Every figure should come with a figure stand. There's no excuse these days for figures to not come with figure stands. Now, let's see if I can get this trading card out of here without damaging it. All right. Well, it looks like it was already damaged in the package because it was definitely got a little crease down here at the bottom. I'm not sure if I bent it up here at the top or not, but I think that'll come out. This thing down at the bottom won't. So, Mcfarlane, here would be my advice to you on packaging these trading cards. Don't do it that way. Put it in a little baggie and tape it to the inside of the package. That way we can have a mint trading card and when we open up the package and not have one that's damaged. Anyway, this is what the back looks like, and it does still have the Page Punchers logo on the trading card, at least. And it says, Page Punchers, Robin, real name Damian Wayne. While Batman has been known to hide his feelings, Damian Wade would be a hard son for even the most affectionate father to love. Headstrong, arrogant, and more than a little condescending to his fellow superheroes, Damian Wayne is the fifth and current Robin, and has managed to make enemies on both sides of the aisle, despite his short tenure as a superhero and his short stature as a superhero. Am I right? The kid's tiny. All right, so let's go ahead and get the this bubble out, and then we can get a closer look at our action figure and the accessories he comes with. And he does come with some pretty cool accessories. First of all, he comes with this samurai sword, ninja toe, whatever you want to call it, katana. And there we go. Damian often uses a sword, so that is an appropriate accessory. And then an interesting accessory that he comes with is he comes with this. Oops, I dropped half of it. It just fell right out of there. All right, so let's see if I can find it. I spilled some tea here the other day, and it got on this bag. It's sticky and disgusting because it was sweet tea. It's the only kind of tea I drink. Is that it? Way down there? I found it. It fell in my box of stuff that I keep down here. All right. So he comes with this shattered mask of Professor Pig, and we can kind of piece it together and see what it would look like. I'm kind of surprised they haven't done a figure of Professor Pig yet, at least not one that I've seen. He seems like the kind of creepy character Mcfarlane would like to make. So this shattered Professor Pig mask, you can see that like it even has like a white lens over one eye, and the other eye, I guess it got knocked out. So, but he's a creepy villain. Set those aside, and try to get some of that sweet tea residue off of my thumbs because I don't want to get it on this action figure with this nice wired cape. So we got a few rubber tabs. You know I hate the rubber tabs, but here there's at least it's just one that's across like both of his shins. So that's good. I like the fact that they cut down on the amount of rubber tabs that I have to cut through. And you know, it doesn't like it's not like it holds the action figure in the package really. I mean, it's not like his legs are falling out, you see. So you don't really need any plastic tabs, and you certainly don't need multiple. And this proves that you can just put one around both legs. And he doesn't have any around his wrists or forearms, it looks like, but they did put some tape on there, which is odd. So there we go. And I'm gonna, since they're in there nice and deep black, I'm gonna pull all of his limbs out of the package first, and then he should come out fairly easily after that. And I'm gonna try to avoid touching the edge of the plastic any more than I have to, because I don't want to get any hang on this wired cape. And you know I love these wired capes. Just like how Dick came with a wired cape, Damian also comes with a wired cape. So we're going to set him aside real quick, and I'm going to put all the stuff back in here. Where did the other one go? Here it is. There we go. I think that I still have Ra's al Ghul over here. Let's see if I can find him. Yeah, here he is. So we can get some shots of Damian with his grandfather too. But first, let's talk about the figure itself. And much as I was talking about with the Dick Grayson figure, this is a figure that does a really good job, I think, of capturing the look of Frank Quitely's artwork. But it still should look fine next to action figures that aren't necessarily drawn to be like Frank Quitely. But since his version of Damian is a little more exaggerated than his version of Dick Grayson, you know, it doesn't, I don't think, fit quite as well with a more vanilla type figure as the Dick Grayson Batman figure does. Like, I can hold the Dick Grayson Batman next to the Nightfall Batman, and they don't look too out of shape or out of sync. You know, they look like they belong together pretty decently. The only issue that I have as far as like this being Dick next to Bruce is he's about the same height, and if anything, he's a little bit taller. It looks like, and Dick, even as an adult, should be a little shorter than Bruce Wayne. So he's not as tall as the previous Batman. Well, I guess technically this guy would be his Batman because Bruce is still the original Batman, right? That's how that works. I don't know, but we can get a shot real quick of while I've got him out. There's the dynamic duo Reborn. All right, so let's look at the figure a little bit. He's got a bright red jerkin, and it actually has like some, interestingly enough, some kind of cell shading underneath the armpits, like a slightly darker shade of red. I don't know if it's coming across on the camera at all. It doesn't look like it's coming across to me, but trust me, it's there. And he's not only got a fabric cape, but a fabric hood as well. So let's see if we can pull the hood over his head. It does seem like it might be easier said than done, since the hood is also wired, and it's made out of a fabric that isn't particularly forgiving as far as the stretchiness goes. But it's got like a couple of seams down either side, and unfortunately, one of the seams one of the seams with an A seems with an E to have been a little sloppy on mine. And it's a very tight fit, but you can, in fact, pull the hood over the head if one wishes to. And since it is wired, we can go ahead and kind of form it into shape. And other than the part where you can see where I'm talking about, where the seam didn't quite connect on this side, other than that, it looks pretty good. But I'm not going to, I don't think, put him with the hood too often because, like I said, it's a really tight fit to get it over there, and it looks like it already kind of one of the wires is kind of poking through here, and it is a type of fabric that's going to be prone to fraying if you're not too careful with it. So I would recommend that if you're going to put the hood over his head, just put it over it and leave it there. Don't try to move it afterwards. I'm not going to use this hood too much. I'm going to leave it down because I don't want to get it in any worse shape than it already is straight out of the package. But you can see how it's kind of fraying a little bit. That this seam just kind of didn't quite match up at the end, so that's unfortunate. But whatever, I'll just kind of keep it down behind him like that. And again, the wires help with that because it it's kind of difficult to get hoods to work right on action figures, but the wires make it so that it stays as flat as it should when it's down, and you can get it to get that right amount of hang on his head when it's on his head. So, and obviously, since he's Robin's cape usually is like a shorter cape than Batman's, so that's about the length and width of the cape. I've got it like unfurled about as far as it goes, but I don't think it's necessarily made for length anyway. It's more made for posing, so we can get him into like some dramatic kind of shots, some kind of action shots where the cape is flowing behind him, or even where he's just kind of like standing dramatically on a rooftop. Let's see if I can match the pose of the hands are reversed from how they should be. It really should be the open hand over on the other side. Just I'm talking in terms of like, posing him to look like the picture on the cover. So, but I think that's a pretty good approximation, right? Maybe give him a little bit more of a spread stance there. There we go. And if you'll indulge me for just a moment, as far as spending a little bit of time on an action figure that isn't the one that we're focusing on, really. Let's see if we can get like the arms folded pose for Batman. Unfortunately, the butterfly joints don't work quite as well as they probably should. His pecs are just too massive. So you can't quite get that arms folded pose of Dick on the cover. And the cape isn't quite wide enough to structure around him. But yeah, that's about as close as I can get the pose there on the cover. So Damian works really well, even though, like I said, the hands are kind of reversed from what they should be. Dick, not quite so much. I'm afraid Dick is not very impressive as far as that goes. All right, and since I teased it earlier, we can get a shot of Damian next to his grandfather, Raish Al Ghul. There we go. I had a very close relationship with my grandfather. I miss him every day. I don't think the relationship that Damian has with Raish is quite as close. Although Raish would like it to be closer. He did intend to basically download his soul into Damian's body at some point. So, thankfully for the little bastard, that never happened. Yes, I do affectionately refer to Damian as the little bastard. Well, let's get a shot of him with the sword real quick. Get that into his hand. Now, I believe this is the same sculpt of the sword that came with the vampire Damian. It probably came with some other Damian figures that I don't have. I know they've made a whole lot of Damian figures, and not as many Dick Grayson Robin figures. They need to do more of those. The only Dick Grayson Robin figures I can think of that they did for Multiverse are the 2 movie versions, both of which are Chris O'Donnell, and that one that was like an exclusive that I was unable to get and is very expensive right now. Maybe I'll try to get one day if I can find one for a good price, but we're just going to have to wait and see, I guess. So we can get him into some cool poses with the sword. A lot of good articulation on this figure. We're going to get into the articulation in just a second. Maybe some of the articulation could be better, but I think some of it is just due to the design choices of Damian's costume. And since we're talking about Robin costumes, let's again compare it to my personal favorite Robin costume, the classic Neil Adams designed Tim Drake Robin costume. Tim Drake has had more Robin figures than Dick Grayson at this point. So we've got this one, we've got the red and black version of the same, we've got the new 52 with the goofy wings, and there's the Rebirth version, which I still need to get, which I think is really cool. I need to pick that one up. So yeah, one of the problems with this Damian, comparing him with other characters, is just because of the way that Frank Quitely drew him. He has a huge head. Like it works in the comic book page. You don't really think about it too much. Like if you just look at the picture, it looks fine. But if you really think about it, his head is like way bigger in terms of proportion. It's like maybe about 50% wider than Dick Grayson's head. But you don't really think about that so much as like a comic book thing. And even on the action figures, like his head's a little bit bigger than your average Batman head, and it's still not quite as wide as Damian's head. But that's how Frank Quitely drew him. You know, like Frank Quitely was not the guy who designed Damian in the first place. That would have been Adam Kubert or Andy Kubert. I think it was Adam Kubert. Had designed Damian in the first place. But I think it was honestly Frank Quitely's version that was the one that became sort of the most iconic, at least in my mind. And then, of course, Jim Lee redesigned Damian's costume at Rebirth, and that one's pretty good, but it's a little busy. Like this one, I like the simplicity of it. But you know, it was not a bad costume, but it was busy in that way that Jim Lee costumes are often busy. So you know, what else do you expect? Okay, so let's go ahead and take the sword out of his hand so I can talk about his articulation a little bit. All right, so first of all, like I noted before, he's got the cool wired cape, and that is definitely a good thing. We like the wired capes. I do anyway. Robin can look up about that far. He can look down about that far. He can tilt his head kind of quizzically from side to side, rotate the head all the way around. He's got arms that rotate at the shoulders all the way around. He does have butterfly joints. They're kind of hidden by this rubber vest piece, but they are there. So he can move his arms back about that far and forward about that far at the shoulder. He does have a bicep swivel. Bicep rotates all the way around. He got double jointed elbows, and of course with like skinny little arms like that, he's going to have a great range of articulation at the elbows. Oh, that's a nice pose. Kind of pontificating about. Actually, it moved up a little too far. Now it looks like he's picking his nose. I had it more down to his chin. So yeah. Damian, are you trying to figure out the Riddler's clue? The Riddler? No, I just chopped his head off. Won't be bothering us anymore, mate. You're the worst. But yeah, like when it moved up a little too far, it looked like he was kind of picking his nose a little bit. Okay, let's get back to it. He does rotate all the way around at the waist, and he does seem to have some torso articulation underneath the rubber vest. Of course, it's going to be somewhat hindered by that rubber vest. That's just how it's going to be. MHD is here. Hi, MHD. And he says, hello, Alan. Any plans for your favorite action figures of 2004 video at the end of the year or the beginning of the next one? Well, I guess there are now. I mean, like, now that you say something, I kind of have to do it. I hadn't thought about it before, honestly, but yeah, I guess now that's going to be a thing that I'm going to be considering. So thanks for the idea. All right, so back to the articulation. Robin can kick up about that far. So pretty good range of motion for that kick, considering how he's got that rubber skirt piece, which is hindering it slightly, but not as much as you might think. So good job on that. He can do the splits, no problem. He is a trained ninja master assassin, so he should be able to do such things. Robin has double jointed knees, and that's about the range of articulation we get at the knees, so pretty good there. And then, of course, he's got the cool Mcfarlane ball-jointed ankles and wrists, but the ball-jointed ankles are going to be slightly hindered by these sneakers he's wearing, which are really cool and very detailed, and I always really like that. And the it's kind of more like almost like boxing type boots on the Frank Fightly design, but I like them being sneakers. I always liked it when they drew them a little more that way, and it's got some cool treads on the bottom. So there we go. You're doing a lot of reviews, so you know you do have the perspective. Yep, I can certainly weigh in on what I've observed in terms of action figures this year. Probably like maybe pick a best and the worst out of every line that I usually review. So I mean, there's a few where like I just have like a couple of Eagle Horse figures on here, so I don't know if it really be worth like going through all the Eagle Horse figures and being like, well, this is the best one and this is the worst one when I only did like 3. But yeah, like certainly for G.I. Joe and Masters of the Universe and DC Multiverse, because I think those are the things I do the most of. Maybe superpowers too. I do a good amount of superpowers. So, all right. So anyway, there we go. Damian is a really cool figure. A nice Robin figure. Nice addition to my collection of Robins. Let's see. So far, I have the 2 movie Robins. I have the 2 Tim Drake Robins, the 2 paint jobs that were on here. I need to get the Rebirth one. I don't really care about the new 52 Tim Drake. I've got the Vampire Robin, the vampire version of Damian, and that's a pretty cool figure. So yeah, there's a lot of surface detail to that. I think it shares some parts with the Vampire Robin, which itself I think was a repaint of another figure. But all it really does is add a little more surface detail to it. Oh, he does also have, I forgot to mention, an extra bit of articulation here at the wrist, so you can rotate the bat gauntlet all the way around. Does Dick have that? Dick does not have that. Dick seems to be like fixed where it is. But Damian, you can rotate his gauntlet around, so Damian gets a little extra piece of articulation there, so that's kind of neat. All in all, I would highly recommend this figure. It's a really good figure, especially if you're a fan of the Damian Wayne character. If you just kind of want a general Robin figure, if you don't really care which one it is, it's a pretty good choice for that too. My favorite costume for Robin. Said it before. I'll say it again, like a million times. It's the one Neil Adams designed. I love this one. My one problem with this Robin figure, as far as putting him with the other figures, is I do feel like he's a little tall. Maybe he should be not quite as short as Damian, but maybe somewhere in between the heights of these two figures. So he's almost as tall as some Batman figures. But Damian is about as short as he should be, and we can see that he looks good next to the Dick Grayson version of Batman that he was designed to go with, and he looks pretty good with most versions of Batman. I would say we'll have a look at him next to the three Jokers, the Jason Fabok Batman. That looks pretty good, and up against this jerk. Man, that would be a good fight, wouldn't it? Damian versus Jean Paul Valley. Love to see that. And where did I put? Yeah, here he is. My vanilla Batman, my Bronze Age Batman, the Batman I grew up with, and the modern version of Robin, shall we say? So, oh, and here's the Riddler, so he can cut his head off. I remember reading Grant Morrison talking about how they were going to bring the Spook back, and I'm like, ooh, the Spook. I'll be interested to see what Grant Morrison does with the Spook. And what he did with the Spook was he just had Damian chop his head off and be like, "Look, Father, I killed one of your enemies." Well, I guess that was that. So anyway, I had a lot of fun opening up Damian. I hope you had fun watching this. And if you did, make sure you like and subscribe, all the phone and food stuff down below. Leave a comment. Let me know what you think about this figure and the character of Damian Wayne / Robin in general. I'll be back tomorrow to open up Deathstroke. If you want to make sure you don't miss that, hit the little bell. And, oh, no, you're welcome. Thanks for watching. Always nice when you stop by, MHD. So, yeah, so hit the little bell if you want to make sure you don't miss anything. And I guess that's it. We'll talk to you next time. Have fun. Bye.